So even before they start, I want to say, I think it's very brave of people to come before an audience of health professionals who they don't know, they don't have a personal relationship with, and talk about their disease and their experience with their disease. So I want to personally thank you for your bravery and courage in both coming here and being part of the therapeutic trials you've been part of.
Yes, thank you. The panelists and I were just sharing, we're going to take this moment to pretend we're on the Tonight Show because we're enjoying the way this is set up, and we're just going to take a deep breath and kind of get centered here together. But my name is Cassandra Rivera, and I am the Senior Care Counselor at Alzheimer's of Los Angeles for the early stage services. So I get the privilege to work on a daily basis with those that are just recently given a diagnosis, to work with them and their families through support groups, individualized care plans, and also psychoeducational support groups as well for the person experiencing dementia and their care partner. And so today I'm actually going to have the panelists introduce themselves, starting with their name, their diagnosis, and then what drug they are either currently using or have used in the past. And I'm going to start off to my left here.
Okay. Let's see. Hello? Oh, okay, it's working. My name is David, and this is my, to my left is my partner and spouse of 33 years, and his name is Terry. I should say, Terry participated in 2 different clinical trials for the same drug, Aduhelm. The one that Dr. Schneider mentioned is no longer being actively marketed. The first trial lasted 18 months. It started in 2017 and ended in 2019. Terry had been diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment by Dr. Helena Chu from USC Keck. During that first trial that was 18 months, we didn't know whether he was receiving the actual drug or a placebo. But after the conclusion of that trial, we were informed that he had been receiving a low dose of the actual drug. The second trial started a few years later, 2 years later, in 2021 and ended in 2023. That one ran more than 30 months. And during that one, we knew that Terry was receiving a full dose of the actual drug. And something that may be of particular interest to folks, we haven't spoken with anyone yet, anyone else who has gone through a trial like this for so long, knowing that they were receiving the drug and then had a PET scan afterwards. And Terry did have a PET scan done in January, and it showed that there was no or sparse amyloid left in his brain. So the treatment was successful.
Thank you. And then I'm going to move to
my name is Chris, and this is my wife Martha, of 53 years. My wife had been showing signs for the last few years. The kids have brought it up, but we weren't able. We made the wrong decision to let her make an appointment, which didn't happen. So then we took control of it, and then we started making phone calls. And since her main doctors are at USC, we went to USC over in San Pablo Street, the Keck Center. Our doctor, Barpidian, she's had a neurology there. She took care of our case, and she tried to get us into some trials, but it took a while to get anything going, and then we finally got onto one. And then after a few months, she didn't meet the qualifications of whatever testing they were doing, and it stopped. So just at that time, then the doctor said that she did qualify for this new drug that they're using, Leqembi. And so they went through their procedures. They finally got her approved. And then we've been on Leqembi for a month. And so far we've had 2 infusions. She's had 2 infusions. She'll have next week, Wednesday we go again for another one. So that's kind of where we are.
My name is Martha Herrera, and actually I was a nurse at USC for a long time, but I started to feel at times that I was being very forgetful and trying to, I couldn't find things and so forth, and so then I realized that I needed some help. And so my husband took me to go see the doctor, and this is where we're at this point.
Thank you, Chris and Martha.
My name is Linda, and I am currently on donanemab, and about 6 years ago, my daughter was after me to go into some kind of a trial, which I tried for and had gone online looking for different trials and looking for different things. I personally thought I was fine, didn't think I needed anything. But because of our family history, she believed that I should be trying early, and the earlier the better. And I am very thankful for her doing that. The first trial I did not get into, and so I did not qualify for. However, July of last year, she was persistent again after that. And July of last year, on a Friday, I got a phone call, and they said I could come in as early as the next Monday, and I was right there that next Monday morning, bright and early, ready to go. And I'm very thankful for that. So I have now been on donanemab since July, was twice a month, and am now on once a month, and am very, very thankful that I have been able to get into it. And it's not something that, if it wasn't for my daughter pushing so hard and the family history, I never would have had any idea, and would have just thought I was just a little forgetful, age was catching up with me, and that's what it was. But it was definitely more than that.
Thank you, Linda. And my first question, you all have shared a little bit of just how you came to start with clinical trials, but I want to go in a little bit more depth with that, and starting with David and Terry, about who first spoke to you professionally about your treatment options, and what were you told?
Well, when during our diagnosis, I guess it was called a meeting. It was very nice. It included Dr. Chu, a social worker, and neuropsychologist. And during that meeting, Dr. Chu mentioned that a phase or what later became known as Aduhelm had gone through an early phase 1 study that was positive, and that a phase 2 study would be skipped, and they would be going straight into a stage 3 study at some point. And it took it was a little more than 2 years actually after that meeting that the trial actually got up and running at CAC. And so it was directly from our provider, our neurologist, who we found out, and we were so grateful for that. And she advised us encouraged us to follow up on a regular basis, which I did every couple of months. I would give the clinical trials team a ring, and we established a relationship with them, and eventually it was, we successfully got into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And for yourself, Terry, building that relationship with, it sounds like, your care team, did that kind of ease some of your involvement or help with wanting to go forward with this treatment?
Well, it was easy from the beginning. And I'm a doctor myself, but not a medical doctor. I'm a chemical doctor, and so I learned a lot of things in doing that. And I've been very much impressed by the people that are working at CUC, and that's a big part of the whole thing, and they're wonderful.
Yeah, they really, over a period of, it's been, oh my gosh, 9 years. And we feel like, for instance, Dr. Freddie is like, we've been with her for 8 years, and it's almost like she's like a member of the family, a friend and a member of the family, and as well as the clinical trials team, Maurizio Becerra, the clinical trials manager, and the others who, even nurses who we were with for years. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. How about for yourself, Chris and Martha? How has been your experience in your process of getting to this treatment?
Well, again, it was started with the kids, and but when we finally went back to USC and talked to Dr. Papedian, we wound up having to do all the tests, started from scratch, and it was taking a while. And when I did, I contacted a friend of mine who has Alzheimer's, and but I found out he was now in assisted living. So I talked to his wife, and we talked, and she mentioned LA Alzheimer's to get a hold of them because they had some connections, and it's help group, I would assume, and I talked to her, and then I had another friend that passed away from Alzheimer's, and he's dementia, and he wound up. I wasn't really able to talk to his wife because she was still in mourning, so I just we continued with Dr. Papedian, and then that's when we finally moved forward with the Lekembi. Did you want to say anything?
That's okay. Thank you, Martha. Linda, and for yourself, how has been your experience? And you were the one that was the catalyst with your daughter to look for the clinical trials. But when it was first presented, how did that experience go for you?
I was looking online for a trial myself, so I was, once the opportunity presented where I was able to get into a trial, I was right there. So there was no talking me into anything. I was already there. I was ready to go forward. So, but it was really me looking and going online, and my daughter looking online and trying to get into something.
Okay, thank you. And then for those taking the treatment, how has been your experience with that treatment? I'll start with Terry and David.
Sure, I'm going to let Terry answer this because we prepared as well as we could with notes and went back and forth, and I typed them up and such, and he came up with a few talking points, as we used to say in my career, that he wanted to share with you. So here you go. It's just those there. I'll start there and just read it.
The treatment itself was easy, not painful, and I did not experience any side effects from it. We came to Cook every 4 weeks for me to be infused with Aduhelm. It was administered either while I was sitting up in a hospital bed or comfortable in a large chair. The infusions lasted about an hour each, and I was served a delicious lunch during the infusions. And the lunches were usually sandwiches, a salad, a fruit, and dessert, and it was all for nothing.
Yeah, it was free, and nothing was ever left, so he liked all of it.
I was treated with loving care by the clinical trials manager, clinical trials doctor, and the nurses who administered the infusions. It was a good experience, the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And if they ask me to come back again, I'll be right there.
With that free food, why not, right? Thank you, Terry. And Martha, I know you've just started your journey with Aquimbi, but so far, how have you been experiencing the treatment? How has it been?
So far, it's
You're good.
so far it's very good, and it's very helpful, and I do different things that, for instance, puzzles and different things to just get myself going and so forth. I go walking a lot and try to keep it active so I could just continue. And I'm very grateful to Chris, because he's makes sure that I take all my medications. And so that's really, really very helpful. Because I used to take my own medications, but I kept taking them 2 times a day, and that wasn't what I was supposed to do. So I'm glad he's doing it for me. Yeah.
Thank you. And Martha, you were also sharing with me, because you've worked at USC for so long, that it's nice to see some of your old colleagues during treatments, and makes treatment go a little bit faster. So.
Yes, I was really excited because I went over for my treatment, and since I worked at USC as I'm a nurse, and well, I was a nurse. And so they came by and they noticed that I was there, and that really made me feel really good. I was the diabetes educator for the hospital, and so a lot of the nurses knew me, and that was very nice. I felt good about that.
Great.
They also gave her a nice lunch. The only thing I had to experience was to make sure I got a nice appointment time so I didn't have to drive to the traffic, the AM traffic, and we left before the traffic started to go home, so it all worked out.
Good. And Linda, same question. How has the treatment been for you?
I'm going to Dr. Trent's Healthy Brain Clinic in Long Beach, and it's a wonderful staff, a wonderful group. The doctor is wonderful. They're just always very friendly and efficient, and are very caring at the same time. And as far as the treatments, it's my understanding that that they can be placebo, or they could actually be the medication, and I don't know which are which, and it's blind, but I do not feel any different after taking the treatments. So I don't know after I've taken it which one I've received. I'm hoping I get a lot of the actual medication, but we'll see. So it's gone very well, and they also have snacks and things. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I was gonna say that food is a big important. So jot that down. Make sure your food is well stocked. And then the next question is, what have been some challenges associated with the treatment? Starting off with David and Terry.
Sure. Terry asked me to start out with this. Keck is located about 116 miles one way from our home out in Rancho Mirage, which is a little beyond Palm Springs. So it took between 2 and 3 hours driving in each direction to reach the clinical trial center. Fortunately, my career was in the U.S. diplomatic service, and I was able to retire early, so I was on hand to go to all of these things. But I can see where if someone were by themselves or might have transportation problems, it could be more of a challenge. Like Chris and Martha, we did the same. We worked with the clinical trials manager, and so our infusions were at 11 in the morning. So we left, by the time we reached LA, the rush hour traffic was over, and then we usually got out of there before it started in the afternoon. The other thing I would just mention is that there were many other visits to Keck on separate days from the infusions. Some of the days Terry went through MRIs, and on other days was given extensive memory testing. And for some reason, we were told that it was only this particular pharmaceutical company insisted that it be on separate days from the infusions, so that added a lot of extra trips. Hopefully it's not like that with these other two newer medicines. But Terry wants to give a little piece of his mind on memory testing because, you know, after being tested every 3, sometimes at minimum every 6 months, and going through very in-depth testing, it can sometimes start to become a bit of a, well, I won't mention anything, but I'll let him talk.
Let's see, where do I start?
Your head is full of information. You need to be tested.
Yeah, the one thing that I think should be improved in the testing is not to make questions out of trivial things, because my brain never slows. If it's that what it is, it says I'm not going to say that. And I'm well into my 80s now, and I have memories going back to first grade school, and the teachers and the janitors and all that kind of stuff. And I like to have that, even though it doesn't really mean anything. And the so-called the testing that they do for memory is more likely to throw out good memories for this today's trivia, and so that's why I don't really cooperate much with those.
It was a bit, as time went on, we noted, or he became a little more frustrated, especially there's one part of the test where they'll give you like names of animals or fruits and vegetables, and then 20 minutes later ask you to repeat back what that is. And I think doing that over and over and over, you know, multiple times every few months, he knew what was coming, and it was a little frustrating, yeah, knowing that he probably wouldn't remember.
Sure.
I've got memories from first grade, and I know who my teachers were, who the janitors were, and you know where the school was, and how long it took me to get there. And, that's kind of nice to go back to, you know, in my age now. Just that's fun, and I'd rather keep those than throw them away for the testing that they do. So-called.
The fruits and vegetables.
Yes. Thank you, Terry. Thank you. No more trivial things, right? Keep those memories. Good. Thank you, Terry. Same question for Martha and Chris. What are some challenges that you've seen with the treatment? Challenges with the treatment?
About my treatment?
Have you seen any challenges?
Well, actually, it was really, really good, but you know, it's just tiring. So it was. Well, I was taken care of well at the hospital. I mean, at the clinic, and that's about it. You know, it was good.
Good. So tiredness.
You know, when I first was going to answer this, I wrote down none really, but then I realized my role as a husband has changed, where I'm having to take responsibility for things that normally Martha would take care of. And then where do I intervene and where don't I intervene with what she's doing so she still feels that she lives her life without me trying to control her life. And so we're trying to find out where that middle ground is where she can do what she wants to do. And I do know she knows how to get to Nordstrom's because I got the bills. And my son is helping us with that. Now we're looking at the bills as they're being done so we can kind of put a hold on them a little bit. And I did go with her, but that one time, but sitting in the woman's part of the store for an hour got boring, so I left, and then she still rang up a good bill when I got back. So it's kind of one of those things where, my role is changing, and with the medications, the kids are all involved, the three kids. One of them, the last few weeks, she's been coming over and cooking on a Sunday, so we have food for the week. The only thing is she really hadn't had a good practice cooking before. So we're trying to see, what we do with the food.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris and Martha. Linda, same question, challenges to treatment.
You know what? I feel very, very blessed because I really don't have any challenges that I can even name. The clinic isn't very far away from where I live. I have not been tired after any of my infusions, and we've had a couple quizzes that we've done in the office, in Dr. Trin's office, but those have been fairly short and have not only taken a couple minutes. So I don't feel that I've really had any challenges other than I have a few appointments I need to go to, but that's not any big deal. That's about it. And so I am very pleased with how things have gone so far.
Great, thank you. And also, what are some benefits to the treatment that you all are starting to notice? David and Terry?
Terry, I'm going to let Terry mention a couple of things. We don't have a lot, but...
What's written here is parents treated with these patients treated with these drugs have been shown to experience a delay in cognitive and functional decline.
We took that from a textbook.
Hopefully this treatment has given me more time to remain well and further enjoy life. So I'm well into my 80s now, and I haven't felt better ever. So.
Okay.
Great.
I'm very happy to hear that.
Go, Terry. For Martha and Chris, what benefits have you noticed, if any, during your time with the Kwemi this short period?
The benefits that I've gotten from this?
Yes.
Well, yes. I think it's very helpful, and I'm able to learn a lot about myself and able to continue my life and enjoy my children. And so I really very blessed for that. And like I said, I enjoy walking, and I enjoy doing things that are helpful. And but I don't go to Nordstrom's all the time.
Martha and I said she's just trying to get better at hiding the boxes. She's trying to find a new spot. That's the only difference. Thank you. Linda?
As far as benefits, my first thing when I hear that word is that, okay, you come up with the numbers and you show the numbers and how the, well, I don't have any of those kinds of things, obviously, to be able to tell. I just have to have faith that it is working and that it's doing, and I do have that, so I believe that it is working. But as a huge benefit is I believe that I was early, that I was diagnosed early, so that has given me the gift of life, to have life as I know now for a much longer period of time. So I appreciate the fact that that this trial has diagnosed me and made me aware that I do have Alzheimer's, and that I then am getting a treatment that I believe is donanemab, which I believe is a very good treatment. And so I've been given a gift from God, basically. So I appreciate that very much.
Thank you, Linda. The next question for everybody is there anything that you know now that you wish you had known before? I'm going to start with David.
We talked about this, and it was really difficult, because, well, easy and difficult, because we couldn't think of anything. Our providers at CAC and the clinical trials team were very patient. They explained every step of the process that was coming up thoroughly. They explained things during the process. And as a result, there isn't anything more that they could have told us. So we really had to try to think and couldn't think of anything.
Thank you. Chris and Martha, is there anything that?
Well, yes, I'm glad that we've learned of this program, because otherwise I wouldn't have learned as much as I have been learning. And I appreciate all the help that, especially at USC. So that's what.
Thank you.
Yeah, I took a different take on that. I was thinking maybe it would have been better somehow to have been aware of the causes of the disease, like it was mentioned, maybe what foods to avoid. Living in LA my whole life, and Martha living next to the freeway, that probably wasn't very helpful with the pollution. Physical activity, I've had plenty of that. Maybe more mind games, and but those are the things that a little more tools in the toolbox ahead of time, so that we could maybe have avoided some of this. But it's all there. We just need to be a little more common sense. That's all.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Martha. Linda?
One of the things that I guess I thought about Alzheimer's and dementia because of the family history, but family members had always kind of kept that a secret and quiet and didn't want to talk about it, and I've just been the opposite. So since I've found out I've had it, I've told friends, I've told people, and I'm telling them I'm going for infusions, and have recommended that they go online, that they look for trials, they take a look at some different things to see if in fact they might have it as well. And so I guess that's something that it's not something to be ashamed of. It's something, it's just something that happens. And so I just feel that that's something that I am sharing with people, and I am making people aware of my situation.
Thank you, Linda. It sounds like someone had mentioned earlier, being a dementia-friendly city just by starting with yourself and your friends, and you're doing that now, lowering that stigma. Thank you. Now our final question, I'm having so much fun. I'm sad we're reaching the final question, but what recommendations would you give to providers who are discussing treatment options with their patients?
Well, this one was kind of easy because our providers discussed it all even before it was a possibility, kind of with the clinical trials coming up, which didn't happen for a couple of years, so they were way ahead. We feel like we've really been on the leading edge and haven't fallen behind or, by the way, I attend an Alzheimer's support group weekly, and I've been in the group for 9.5 years, and nobody else has participated. Oh no, take that back. Out of maybe a couple hundred people that I've known there over the years, only one other person participated in a clinical trial, and it kind of takes me aback that, and I talked about it all the time, and none of the caregivers seemed to be interested in even looking into it. So that was kind of, I'm going off topic here, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you.
But everybody has explained everything to us very well, and we just would recommend that for maybe primary care doctors and others who aren't Alzheimer's neurologists to just explain the screening process for access to the new drugs, like Dr. Schneider did on the recording, because there are requirements, and you can only have mild cognitive impairment or mild Alzheimer's and pass a memory test, and then also find that you have amyloid plaque through a PET scan. And then just the frequency of the infusions, everything that's already been mentioned, possible side effects, and how long treatment might last. Mm-hmm. And I think that Dr. Schneider mentioned it's 18 months as kind of the standard, but another question I think that will be coming up in the not too far future is that people are getting started now. Well, what happens after 18 months? Do you just stop and then you don't get any more? Do you go back after a year and see if it's grown back and then repeat? And this is something I haven't heard anything mentioned about, but I think it's coming up because patients will start asking 12 months and on, if it's going well, can I stay on this, or how long will I stay, or what kind of tests there are?
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. David and, Chris and Martha?
I was thinking the same thing about what happens after 18 months. And I would think that maybe there'd be something else in the pipeline that you go from one to something else. Hopefully the government helps and they assist with continuing to keep some of these programs alive. So those that need it do get the help.
I agree with Chris. I think hopefully that there's some more help and is more broadly known so people are aware of it, and hopefully that we could continue to get more, learn more about dementia and so forth.
Thank you.
Sometimes I think that people are afraid of trials. It's the unknown. They're not sure of trials. And at least from my experience, 25 years ago, I was in a trial for cholesterol, and then I've been a part with my mom when she cancer trial, 2 cancer trials that she was in, and now I'm on this one. And I believe that you get more individual, just right on top of you kinds of treatment when you're in a trial, because they're needing to check all of those boxes and get all that data and get everything together. So you're really, really getting not only the cutting edge medication, but you're getting the treatment from all of those professionals, that even more so than you would normally. So I believe in trials, and if you have something, a trial, it would be a recommendation to go out and try and get into whatever might make sense for you.
Thank you. Martha?
I agree with Linda that we do need to continue to have more trials, and it just be aware of it. across the board with of course, with the doctors and with families. So we are able to get help soon, or more, I should say.
Early intervention. Thank you, Martha. I'm not quite sure how we're doing on time, but we wanted to open it up to any questions from the audience. The panelists have graciously said they're excited to get questions from the audience. Yes.
So my question.
Sorry about that. Testing. Give me 1 second while they turn the volume up.
First of all, I just want to thank you and commend you for your courage to be here today. So thank you for that. My question is, Linda specifically, you said your family, it was very hush-hush, we don't talk about things. I currently have on my husband's side an aunt who has dementia, and the family does not want to talk about it at all. Now, we're removed because we're in Southern California. She's in Northern California. Her only daughter is at the brink of despair. Actually, she's in despair now. How can we have the conversation when family does not want to talk about it? That's my question for anyone.
Did you have?
You know what, I don't even have an answer for that. I think that's just something, family dynamics and just personality and personal preferences. But, I think the more people that open up, the more about this particular topic or any other topic, that it'll just become easier for people to talk about.
Go ahead, Chris.
I have 7 or 6 brothers and sisters, and 7, yeah. I let them know, and I haven't heard too much back from them. I had some few of our personal friends that we shared this with, and they're supportive. Well, one of them called me the other day and says, "Look, let's get together and go to lunch or something, the 4 of us, trying to keep that door, that communication door open." And that meant a lot that he made the effort. And, we'll see who else I get a call from.
I would just mention that I think that there's a lot of low information folks out there. And this comes from participating in the support group for 9 years, is that I'm just kind of shocked at what little people know, even with family members who have it, and they barely know just the basic things, even less than that, I think. So there seems to be like a need for more education, I guess. And there are some portrayals of people in movies and such, but I haven't really found those to be what I've seen. I suppose, you need to sell tickets to movies, so they're not going to show exactly the way it is. I don't know. But there seemed to be a low level of information out there.
I'd like to add something to that question, just because I see it a lot with families, and what we like to offer is family educational meetings. And even if it's just one person to just start off, you mentioned somebody that's just at their end and they're working directly with this person, and to just let them know that they're not alone, and to have family present to hear from a third party, a professional that can share some insight and maybe help the family come up with a care plan. But even if it's still that one person that's working with them, they can have, know that they're not alone and get connected to a support group where they may create other bonds outside of their family to help and get, connections in their community. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes.
Thank you all for being so open and being part of this meeting today. I heard a couple of things I wanted to mention. One is that in your comments about remembering things from the past, right? What I heard you say is, I'm still me. These memories from the past are the things that make me who I am. It isn't the whether or not I can name 24 animals in 10 seconds. And so I think it's a point worth making. I think you were making that point, at least you did to me.
Probably because of that, I haven't been involved in any memory retention testings in the last year or so.
It's interesting, he's not interested in watching those trivia shows on TV.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff.
Yeah. So,
well, I'm well into my 80s, and I have memories that go back to first grade
yes.
and second grade,
and they made you the person that you are. They built the person that sits in front of us today.
Well, that was all the way through grad school, and I've got a doctorate, and I couldn't feel better.
Right. So I don't want to take too much time, but I also heard another thing from a couple of you, and that is about the need to diversify the sites where clinical trials are occurring and to make treatment available at more places, whether it be in a trial or as a clinical intervention without a trial. Because this traveling it sounds extremely burdensome, and I think that's an advocacy step that I would really like to see some of us take on, is to diversify, make it easier for people to get to treatment.
I think that I so much agree with you. We attend an art class every week with other Alzheimer's patients and their caregivers, and one of them, I actually referred them to Keck, and they met with Dr. Chu a couple of weeks ago. It's a daughter and a mother, and they spend winters in the desert, and then in the summer times they're in Michigan. And I was surprised when she told me that there were no Leqembi treatment centers anywhere near where they live in Michigan, that they would have to go to the state of Indiana, which I would think would be like less developed than Michigan, but apparently not. But the good thing is they do have a place out here in California year-round, so we talked about that they're going to we both agreed, I think you'd better stay here and get the treatment, even though you'll have to suffer through the summer.
Thank you, David. All right, so just as everyone has said, thank you all so much for this time, your courage and vulnerability. It's been a pleasure spending this afternoon with you all, and thank you for everything that you do. Thank you.
Thank you all. So we'll take a short 10-minute break while we set up for our last panel of the afternoon.